Hey guys, what's up? It's La coming back to ya with another episode of car rides which La. Yeah, this morning was not great. I mean, it's kind of weird because I woke up in the middle of the night, felt great, felt energized, ready for the day, and then I wasn't. Like, it was like, I don't know, then I couldn't go back to sleep. And it took me a while to go back to sleep. I finally did. And it ended up, wow, like it says my sleep score is 96 for some reason. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know why it's giving me such a high sleep score. Because I was able to go back to sleep. It just took so long that then I'm waking up late. You know what I mean? And like that's not good. So it was just like a bunch of things. And I had this dream where I got in a car, but see, the dream was so weird. It was like I got a 6-cylinder version of my car. It was like exactly the same car, too. Exactly the same car. I had a 6-cylinder version. Like, I just bought, and I'm not sure why or what came over me, but I bought it, the 6-cylinder version, and then my bank account balance was really tight, obviously, after that. And I was driving it, and I really noticed how quick, like, it would pick up. You know, how fast it would feel when you touched, even when you just touched the accelerator, it was, like, taking off. And then I'm not really sure what happened. Because I mean, it's a dream. Maybe it just didn't make any sense, because I don't think it did make any sense. But it basically, I somehow fell out of my car. And yeah, I mean, it just doesn't really make any sense. I don't know. I mean, I must have not had a seatbelt on, but I don't, that's obviously not possible, because I don't know how that would have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could try to explain it. I guess I just will, just to be extra, because it's like, with these cars, they always have that like dinging thing for the seatbelt. So the chance that you wouldn't get the seatbelt on, it's pretty low. Like you're gonna get the seatbelt. You know, like you're not gonna have the car and just be driving it with, like, nobody does that. That's insane because of those beepers that go off. So I don't know how I fell out of the car. I either can't remember, or it was just never really explained or rationalized in the dream. And I started running as fast as I could just to try to get back in it. I started running as fast as I could, and it wasn't fast enough. For whatever reason, I just wasn't able to catch it, which also doesn't make any sense, because that would imply I fell out of it at a high speed and I wasn't injured at all, which that's why that doesn't, I don't know. And then I was also walking on I was in a familiar area that I had walked a lot, you know, growing up. Like I had walked this path a lot, this road, this area. It was familiar to me. I think that's like an interesting tidbit. And then I kept walking, and I'm obviously stressed out because the car just had nobody in it and it was moving. Which, I mean, that also doesn't even make sense because, yeah, like I'm just realizing now that even if that had happened, like that wouldn't have happened. I don't understand because the car can't, it's not a self-driving car. It's not. So how did the car keep moving? I don't think that's how it would have shaped out. I mean, it could have been like a iffy situation, of course, in real life, but especially now that I'm like re-explaining it, like that just doesn't make any sense. Like the car wouldn't just keep I mean, I couldn't have been going that fast, you know, and if your foot's not on the throttle, the car's just eventually going to slow down. Like it can't even do that. You know what I like, it just can't. That's not in the it's just not how a car works. Like I don't know. Cuz it still would, like when I finally walked all the way to it, there was a person with a police car. So it had hit them, and so my car, I think, had like a pretty decent chunk taken out of it or something like that. It had some pretty bad chunk out of it. And it had obviously, this person had collided with it, and it was stopped. And as I would pull, then I started sitting in my car again because I figured I'd have to wait for the person. And eventually I saw a police car come, but never did anything, which was kind of weird. And then eventually the tow guy came. He towed the car. Not my car, the other car. But I think he did end up towing my car. And then when we're back at the house, he only charged me like $40, which I thought was pretty cool. And then offered his towing service. You could tow it back to a family member for a higher fee or something, which, I mean, that also doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Seems kind of weird. Like that, you know, that obviously doesn't happen like that. And so, yeah, I don't know. And then I'm obviously just stressing because of just the whole situation. Just the whole situation. Very stressful. Very stressful situation. Because then my bank account's low, and I'm thinking about, because I just bought this car, and I'm thinking about all the extra cost. And I really thought it was real though too. I mean, when I woke up, like I was upset. I was pretty upset. You know, like I don't know, I just was. And yeah, just a very odd situation for sure. something I didn't feel good about. But I was very happy and reassured to realize none of it was real. It made me feel happy and comfortable. Because that's what would happen, you know, if that situation had actually arose. Happy and comfortable. So I'm not sure what the takeaway is from that. I mean, you know, some people say your dreams are a foreshadowing of things that will happen. So that's kind of scary if that's the case. But I haven't really heard that take from everybody, and then also that hasn't really manifested in my life. Like in my life, I've had plenty of dreams that they don't manifest how I dreamed it. That's just what I heard from somewhere. But this doesn't seem true to me. I don't know. But it was weird. It was weird how, like, realistic it was almost. How me buying a second, pretty much identical car, except for the engine being faster. I mean, it's like totally something I would do. So I feel like I had something to talk about, but it's gone. Like I lost it. Whatever I was talking about. Kind of a shame, but then I remembered. I mean, the dream probably, like, because I think I'd forgotten about the dream actually. And then that had just came back to me, you know. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I'm just like tired. I mean, yesterday I was tired, but it was different because yesterday was one of my better mornings in a while. Like it actually wasn't rushed. And then today would have been that way, but I just got to sleep too early. No, that's not. No, I just woke up too early and couldn't go back to sleep. I don't know why that came out in that way. I've just been thinking a lot about insurance and how much sense it actually makes in the like transformation. I guess in my life when I was younger, I really didn't like taxes. I didn't like insurance. I just thought, you know, it's just like an extra cost I don't really want to have to pay for. I mean, I was really one of those people, very libertarian in economics, although I've heard some saying before, like, you know, who doesn't go through that phase when they're a teenager? You know, because you're like trying to find your identity and you're like not really super into authority or whatever. But that's how I thought. That's how I thought for a while. Didn't like any of it. And I realize now that that just doesn't make any sense, because insurance really is a good idea. You just have everybody pay a little bit of money into a pool, so you're engineering a little bit of luck out of life, right? Like you're putting a cushion around negative events. It's something I absolutely believe in now. Maybe that's a certain side effect of this show. Not only as a person, but talking through these things with myself over all these months. I'm understanding a lot more about things and just what I believe. And I think most people, they don't have that, so they're usually hearing something from another entity, which means likely there's going to be some kind of concept persuasively presented to puncture the brain. But no, just these talks but I guess most people can't do that anyway, so they wouldn't really understand it. But yeah, insurance, it's such a great thing in theory. I think the only reason why it becomes problematic is because there's a certain percentage, and potentially a large percentage, of very preventable things. Somebody driving while they're drunk, somebody just being reckless, and we have ways of handling that. A reckless person, they track it and they have to end up paying a higher premium, so that's kind of fair. But a lot of times there's no way to catch that before it happens. Although I'm assuming it works pretty well, because you have I know these insurance companies are pretty crafty, So yeah, it's probably sort of like that with health. It's like a similar thing. You think about somebody who smokes cigarettes probably has a higher risk of dental, gum infection, or other health issues. And then it's like, but they have to pay the same premium, and they probably get a little more out of the system than they give, and that's not really fair. So those aspects of it definitely need some work. And I've already been aware of and addressed the human side of the problem, which is that humans just don't take care of their health. They just don't. And not even remotely a lot of the time. It's just kind of due to chance, like how you were raised, and if you were just exposed to certain foods or a certain lifestyle growing up, you tend to maintain that moving forward. And if you're given good habits, then you're given good habits. And if you're given bad habits, then they're bad habits, and that's just how it rolls. That's just how it rolls. But that's the only thing about insurance that probably isn't fair, Now, the other thing that isn't fair is how the companies just use it as a profit system, which that obviously just doesn't make any sense, because why do you need to profit off of it? I mean, some of these insurance companies are like some of the wealthiest companies, and I guess you could make the argument they're providing a good service that's like an essential, but I don't. First of all, a lot of them don't even do that great of a job, and we know there's a lot of greed. There's so much money that gets wasted on advertising, and that shouldn't be. We've already talked about that, because like these insurance companies, I don't know how it is that much anymore because I don't watch TV, but when I was younger and the TV would be on at like relatives' homes and things like that, I literally remember so many of the insurance advertisements. Like, they really spend like a long time, lots of money advertising, and that's money that could be going to people, not just the average. Like, it's just all stupid. It's all a bunch of stupid stuff. But there's obviously this money involvement. There's obviously this kind of money thing. And it just doesn't make any sense. I don't think it really gives better insurance. If anything, it's kind of weird how that's the argument, because we're basically taught from a young age that like it's money that motivates people, and it's money, and but that actually, I really wonder if that has some looking into, because I've met a lot of people who try to be good people without money, and who really don't need like some of the most generous people, which is what you would want, who you would want running an insurance company, is somebody who's generous, somebody who's kind. That's the type of people who should be running the insurance companies. They're not motivated by money. They don't care about money. Now, we've almost been gaslit into thinking that everybody's just motivated by money. And then now my generation, and I mean even some before it, now like we've basically appropriated that into our psychology. Like it's like, because I just don't believe it. I mean, I noticed it more when I was younger. I notice it less now, because again, things have got really tight financially for people. But when I was younger, when I was a kid back in the 2000s, I definitely remember there were just a lot of people where they just didn't care about money as much. I mean, of course you care about money for your livelihood, but people have other motivations for things. It's not just money. And I genuinely think in the past 10 or 20 years, people have just became extremely transactional and greedy. And like, I guess I've noticed it in myself in some ways, how, I think that's what I was going to talk about. Not this, sorry, I just remembered like a different thing. I remember though, so we'll probably get to that next if I remember. It was just about what I've thought about recently about gratitude and the frequency of doing good or fun things. We'll see if I remember. But I genuinely feel like in the last 10 or 20 years, there's been a huge shift towards greed, and it's because, in the past, a lot of these things were fairly easy to pull off. If you wanted to go out to eat, you wanted to do these things, you could fairly easily. You could fairly easily afford to go out to eat, have fun. Like, life was a fairly laid back experience. There wasn't really so much to be concerned about. And so that's why, like, a lot of people didn't really need that much money, because they didn't need that much money. Just wasn't really necessary for people to have an enjoyable life, Wasn't a necessity. Because they could afford a lot of the little things that they wanted. A lot of the things that they wanted, it was like affordable. Because I don't think people really want all that much, besides probably being able to go to restaurants or go to places, and cars used to be really affordable. Eating out used to be really affordable. So people were pretty happy, and a lot of people, I think, were more giving because they could be more giving. But now things are tightening up. And so you don't really have many generous people anymore, because, like, we don't really have much to give, right? It's we're kind of looking at how things cost. We're kind of looking at, and it's like, I don't have anything to offer, which is sad. But now some people still are generous, I'm sure, but where they're going to end up remains to be seen, because society doesn't really seem to want to give you the ability to be generous, which is a shame. Which is definitely a shame, and we've talked before about how systems in the past were better. But what can you do? I don't actually like that saying, though, the, like, what can you do thing. I kind of hate that people say that. They say, like, oh, that's life, or things like, no, that's not life. No, it's not what can you do. No. We know what we can do. We know what we can do. We know that it's possible. We have the potential. There's no, like, oh, well, that's just how life is. If you have a medical emergency, you're just going to be on the street. You're just going to have crippling debt for the rest of your life. That's just how it is. Well, that's just life. No, it's not. That's not just life, and that wasn't what life was just 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And so it actually, like, that saying, and you notice the reason why I'm getting upset is it's so programmed into our psyche. Like, who taught us that? Who taught us that? Oh, that's just how life goes. Oh, that's just how life is. Oh, we can't do anything about anything. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Who put that in my mind? Is it supposed to be advice? Because I've heard it from a lot of old heads, but it's not good advice. It's like, no, get with the program. We can definitely. It's 2025. We have lots and lots of underutilized technology that has a lot of potential. We're in a civilization. We're supposed to be a civil society. These things should not be problems. Now, yeah, granted, if we were living in prehistoric times or something, yeah, I mean, that is how life is. Like, you can't really conceive of much further than that. Of course, even if you're living in like the 1500s, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, you could probably still say the same thing. Like, you could conceive of something a little bit better, but not that much better. Like, it's kind of, it's weird. There's not like a clear answer. No, I don't think so, at least. Just not a clear answer. So it's just very frustrating because we definitely have the ability now to essentially end poverty. It's very possible in a way that it's more possible than ever before. We could end poverty. We could end luck effectively. We could end pretty much as much luck as that there is possible to end. Those cards are on the table now. Like, it probably would have been possible sooner, but especially with the tech that we have and the potential for it, it's very possible right now to just end poverty, to end luck, to make it so that people, I mean, I was like talking to someone and talking about guaranteed outcomes, and they're telling me, oh, that's not how life is. That's not a good way to think. Oh, it's not? It was the way things were just 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You did have guaranteed outcomes. For the most part, it kind of goes back to my expectations thing, how it's like everybody who lives now, they really do just have their expectations on the floor. Like, that's literally the problem. People have their expectations on the floor. That's exactly what's happening. Isn't that crazy? Oh, that's not possible. Oh, don't think like that. Don't think that, if you go to college, you should have a guaranteed higher paying job. Oh, yeah, who could imagine a system like that? Who could imagine a system where you work and you have guaranteed property? It's like, yeah, who could imagine? Yeah, don't think like that. That's not good. Oh, don't think like that. People don't even think about this stuff. That's the problem. People don't even like understand or think about this stuff like at all. And that's really the bulk of the problem, right? It's just, I just think it's crazy. And this is the whole, like, why am I thinking about this, and why is it so hard for everybody else to? I mean, what else is there to even think about? And I live in America. I've dealt with my entertainment. I've dealt with my nonsense. It's I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that hasn't, I don't know. And I mean, it's taken me a while to get here. I've had a lot of different ideas, bad ideas, worse ideas. I didn't get here overnight. Didn't figure all this stuff out overnight. But yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting everybody to be geniuses, but come on, that's not a good way to think. Oh, nothing's ever promised in life. Oh, Yeah, I mean, there's these fringe cases where, yes, but if you want to build a society that works better, you reward positive outcomes. People who show up to work every day, you pay them appropriately. Yeah, maybe it's not, some people's jobs aren't that spectacular, they're kind of, who cares? That, just showing up, doing the right thing, and then, yeah, it's like that's what's going to lead to a better world. But it's not if we start reverting back to like prehistoric times where, yep, somebody hit you and yeah, but now your insurance rate has to also go up because dude, we're past luck. We need to start living in a post luck situation now. This is crazy. We're so far beyond whatever this is. We're so far beyond it. We have so much more potential than whatever this is. It's crazy to me that this is really where we're at. I mean, I just don't know. And people make, like, I feel like I go crazy because I talk to people and that's the kind of responses I get. Oh, well, that's just how life is. Oh, yeah, well, what can you do? Well, yeah, well, what can you do? What can you do? Can't do nothing. We can't do nothing, so might as well just we can't do nothing. It's not like just 60 years ago we done something. It's not like just 60 years ago everything was fine. Yeah, that's life. That's life, even though just 60 years ago everything was fine. It's, what are we doing? Like, snap out of it. Like, what? Well, that's just how the cookie crumble. Well, that's what life's like. No, none of that makes any sense. Like, oh my gosh, it's oversensitivity to the wrong things. Like, if something bad happens to you in life, get over it, keep going. But we should demand a system that does what it can to fix these. I mean, what are we doing? We can do it. We can do it right now. Right now we can do it. And it's just not happening. And things continue to get worse. I'm aware of these things, but nobody else is. People are just dumb. I like to say ignorant, though. I don't, because, dumb is a harsh word, but I think it's just ignorance, and there's, yeah. I think people want to do the right thing, but they get twisted to believe that something's the right thing that isn't. That's what happens, Through some kind of propaganda, people believe stuff that they don't actually believe, and then it's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see you, schla.